Hello there. I'm Scotty. You're not. Welcome back to Sci-Fi Saturday, and this week we're taking a look at Pacific Rim. Yes, from 2014, starring Idris Elba, Charlie Hunnam, Charlie Day, Bern Gorman. There's the name. And directed by Guillermo del Toro. Guillermo. It's easier to say Debbie Derryberry than Guillermo del Toro. 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 Okay, he directs this movie. Amongst other movies he should have directed, he was supposed to come back and direct the third Blade movie. No, he was supposed to direct the Hobbit films, which were supposed to then be 2 films. Then he said no, and they were made into 3 films, which is still unnecessary. I still haven't reviewed those yet, but yeah. 2 films would have been unnecessary in my opinion. But maybe 2 films would have worked better than showing a whole war that wasn't in the book in the 3rd film, because But he's here to direct Pacific Rim, which is kind of like when you take Gundam Wing or Power Rangers and Godzilla and you whoosh them together. It's people inside suits fighting giant monsters. That's what it is. They give you a bit of a backstory on where these creatures come from. Everybody's looking to the stars. They came from underneath us, within Earth and in a portal, which you can connect to the Godzilla universe. There's been talk of having a Godzilla versus Pacific Rim type movie, because the creatures in this are called kaiju. Can't be a coincidence. I don't think, the timeline will be right now. If they were to make one right now, it would work, because this movie starts in 2020. We see Charlie Hunnam as our main character of Raleigh. He and his brother, who's an actor I've seen in many things, but I can't tell you where. They're in one of the Jaegers, which is what these robots are called. And during this, the brother dies. So we then flash forward 5 years later, 2025. So if they were to make a sequel that was like Pacific Rim versus Godzilla, or Godzilla versus Pacific Rim or something, and put together the Godzilla elements with this, and release it and produce it now, and have it set for release in 2026, it could be, no, never mind. I just realized you could do that. Actually, you could have it be a movie that takes place in between this and the second one, because the second one takes place 10 years later in 2035. So you could have a movie that canonically takes place sometime after both this and Godzilla X Kong, and be a connecting movie, and you could still say, it happened before the second film. Bring back Charlie Hunnam, who was not able to come back for the sequel. Bring back Ron Perlman and kill him off in this movie, in this spin-off crossover film, to explain why he's not in the sequel. The real reason was Guillermo del Toro didn't come back, so Ron Perlman didn't come back. But yeah. So, one thing that I've had a problem with these movies, it's less of an issue now, but it's still an issue, is the drifting aspect. Drifting connects them, so it takes 2 pilots to pilot a Jaeger, and in order for it to work, because there's a left brain and a right brain, a left brain and a right brain, kind of like with what the kaijus will have, which is not the case for Godzilla, but whatever. And So there needs to be two pilots, and they need to be able to drift together and work together, both sides of the brain, to work, I guess. And it's very much they run and they move and they do stuff like you've seen in other movies and stuff, but just I've always had an issue with that because they use that is in this film. Like there's a scientific reason why they have to do that, but it's also in this film for padding. It's there so that there can be an issue with drifting and kind of pad the runtime a little bit. Although, to my surprise, it wasn't used that way as much as I thought it would be, but it's still there. Like, you can't do it, you can't drift, you can't do it, and it's there to give out memories and backstory. Like okay, so Raleigh, he drifts with Mako, this Chinese woman, who is also Idris Elba's adopted daughter. By the way, Idris Elba has to have one of the best names ever. Tracker Pentecost. That's the name. We established through these backstories because they didn't have time to tell us otherwise that, when the kaiju arrived, I think it was the original attack. Her family was killed and Pentecost found her. So he brings her, so he's adopted her, and she wants to be a pilot, but he won't allow it because, that familial connection. He doesn't feel like, he doesn't want to lose her. But if I have to say one thing, it's not used as much as I thought it was. I thought, for some reason, that it was a big thing where, we couldn't connect. It's one of those things that, they're going to connect and they're going to finally connect. But I think something like that would work if it was him and this Australian guy that had issues with each other and then have to learn to work together. But not with Mako. They're framed as love interests, but not really. They never kiss or anything like that. But there's also this side quest that Charlie Day goes on to try to get another brain. So he found a way to successfully drift with a kaiju, and it's how he finds out that these are actually mounting attacks. They're trying to break through the barrier. They're trying to launch a full-scale attack on our planet. So he has to go find another brain, which is where Ron Perlman comes in. And during this part, Ron Perlman is eaten by a kaiju when they show up. Which, he was trying to use Charlie bait, and then Charlie, I'm going to call him Charlie because that's what he is, survived, but, I remember not liking what they did with him in the sequel. I don't fully remember, so I'm not going to throw it out there, but I remember not liking it. But as a result of him drifting with kaiju. It's a little side quest for him to then show up towards the end and say, well, whatever plan that you're planning on doing isn't going to work because there's some kind of barrier block. And so you have to have a certain frequency to get the bomb through the barrier to do this. Also, another issue I have is that out of the blue, towards the end of the film, they would randomly reveal that Pentecost is dying from radiation poisoning because the original Jaeger suits were unable to filter radiation out. So he's dying from that. This comes with maybe a half hour left of the movie. This is revealed. And it's like, okay, so he's going to sacrifice himself. I don't know. Like, sure, he could. If you want Pentecost to sacrifice himself, have him sacrifice himself. But don't throw that in there as, now he has nothing to lose. Where, besides Mako, but it's just like, wouldn't it mean more if he sacrificed having a full life? With Mako as his daughter and running this thing. He sacrificed himself. It means something. But now you're saying, oh, he's talking about himself. Well, he's gonna die anyway, so Sure, it means something to Mako, but to those who know about, it's just like, oh, well, he sacrificed himself. Yeah, but he was gonna die anyway, so doesn't matter. At the end of the day, that's what it is, right? Yeah, there's also some pretty great action scenes. It's CGI, of course. At first, I was a little bit iffy because there's a lot of, towards the beginning of the film, so the kaiju come out of the water, so it's a lot of water-based shit. And the same year this came out, we got Godzilla, the Gareth Edwards Godzilla, which was also fighting in the water, a lot of rain, a lot of water throwing around, and it was kind of dark. To the skies, the CGI, because they think their CGI is not good enough to have full sunlight. But CGI in this movie is not that bad. And I was like, really, we got to do this? You really don't trust your CGI? But then later in the film, it actually gets a little bit better, and it's not as bad with the water and stuff, so that works. There's a lot of moments during the downtime where I'm just kind of sitting there going, can we go back to the monsters? I know we need character development, but there's one scene that I did like that was not in the monster suits, and that's when, for some reason, they're doing some kind of martial arts training. Maybe I don't know what it's supposed to be, but Mako is there with Pentecost, and Riley is doing this, to get points for it, and she criticizes him because she thinks he could have got it done in fewer moves. So he challenges her to challenge him to fight, and so they do it. And for her complaint on that, it still takes 4 moves. But he's like, yeah, he wants her to be her co-pilot, but of course Pentecost won't allow it. So there's the issue. But it's just, there is some sort of attraction with them, but they don't fully go through with it. Which I can understand. Hey, your adopted father just died. Kiss me. They kind of do the head thing, two heads together thing at the end, but not really. And they don't say anything. It's like, we're coming in. You okay? Are you guys okay? Riley, you guys okay? Hello? But they'll be fine. A lot of downtime stuff, when in the mess hall or that stuff kind of just makes me want. Like, I understand you got to keep that character development, but there's a lot of it. There's Riley having issues with the Australian guy who respects his father, but his son's a douche, and then they both end up sacrificing themselves because the father is injured. So the son goes with Stacker, with Pentecost, and they both sacrifice themselves. It helps, his sacrifice means something, but I also like the Australian's bulldog. It's kind of a cool little bulldog running around. But yeah, all that stuff is just kind of, it's not pointless because you need a character development, but it makes, when you're watching this movie for the big robot monster fights and you're just going, can we get back to that? But yeah, there is a mid-credit scene. The mid-credit scene shows Ron Perlman surviving his being eaten by a kaiju. He cuts himself out and he goes, "Where's my goddamn shoe?" And then that's it. And Ron Perlman didn't come back, most likely because Guillermo del Toro didn't come back. Why don't I just say del Toro? Didn't come back because he produced it, but he didn't come back to direct the second one because of he was doing The Shape of Water, so he wasn't able to do it with Smart Movie that won an Oscar. So, But also they had to move production from Canada to somewhere else. And Charlie Hunnam did not return for the sequel because he was doing King Arthur Legend of the Sword, which I own, but I've not watched. I don't know why. Nah, eventually. Yeah. So we have John Boyega from the Star Wars sequel trilogy. And a guy who should be leading more pictures, Scott Eastwood. Come on, his dad's Clint Eastwood, for God's sake. But yeah, I'm gonna say this is pretty good. I really enjoyed it. It's a fun film. I like it. Full disclosure, I didn't watch this until the second one was about to come out. Yeah, saw the trailers for the second one was coming out, and I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna have to buy this. So I bought it from Walmart. So, but yeah, it is pretty good. It's pretty good. So, what are your thoughts on Pacific Rim? Let me know comments below. I can't talk today. Thank you for what? Make sure to like, share. So, what are your thoughts on Pacific Rim? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'm Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.